Shalom, it's your brother Yirach, giving all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rachach Kwadash for giving me the spirit to do this lesson. Shalom to the brothers, the men, women, and children, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, the one-third elect that the Most High will have mercy on in these latter days. Shalom, shalom to the prophets, the men of the Lord that are preaching and teaching on the highways and byways in sincerity and in truth. Shalom to you, brothers. I have another quick article, another one that is makes you angry to look at again, and I'll read through this as quickly as I can, and I'll get some precepts to go through it. But now Jake is starting to wake up, and he's starting to ask and realize the extent of the damage that's been done to our people, and Esau is getting worried. Now in the last video I did, I made mention of the rhetoric that's beginning to change in Esau's mouth and his tongue, the way he's speaking. He's worried, and this is the sign of the times, as they would say. This is the end, the eschaton. The Most High is about to do a great and mighty work called Halal Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Every day you're starting to see it ever since Babylon has started to boil over. That the energy in this place is getting to what they would say biblical proportions. So I'll read this. It says, call for $14 trillion in slavery reparations while riots rage in the U.S. is extortion, not justice. $14 trillion. Now, that's in today's money. Now, if you brothers know anything about economics, there's this thing called inflation that it basically, it kills your buying power over time. So the same nominal amount, which would be 14 trillion today, that could have only bought you, let's say, 5 trillion like 50 years ago or something like that, and I don't know what the exact, depends on the inflation rate or whatever. But Esau is saying today that $14 trillion is extortion. Now this guy prints trillions of dollars a day to prop up these Edomite banks that are known to be crooks, that are known to just gamble money, that are known to basically, that whole top finance sector is basically a parasite. It's just siphoning labor and wealth out of the real economy, which is where people who buy things, people who fix cars, people who serve food, do all the things that people need day to day. That's an entirely different economy than who the Federal Reserve gives money to. Now, the Federal Reserve will print money to the tune of trillions, daily or weekly, to keep those same banks afloat when those banks really aren't necessary. They're just there to do wickedness and siphon the wealth out of the economy, because really everybody in America are slaves using this U.S. dollar. If you really think about it, it's really a tax. Using the U.S. dollar in itself is just a tax on everybody that uses it, to the elite that can control and manipulate inflation rates, interest rates, which is a whole different topic. But either way, Esau's got some gall to say that 14 trillion, even if that was in real dollars and from what a real U.S. dollar once was, that would be, man, that there's no way that that's even a drop in the bucket, to what Esau really owes us, because he killed, murdered, and slaughtered, millions of our people over in the Western Hemisphere, and he doesn't think that he needs to pay it back. Now, you'll see in this article, he'll make arguments about how none of the people alive are benefiting from it, which is a lie, that all the people who benefited from slavery are dead. Well, that land was assigned about 2 billion acres years ago. Now, who took over that land? Who inherited that land? That land is still being used today, and it's primarily owned by so-called white people and Edomites. So you cannot make the argument that, white people are not benefiting from slavery, But But anyway, I'll read this. It says after George Floyd's death, Black Entertainment Television, talking about BET, which that network is wicked as hell anyway. Co-founder Robert Johnson called for massive reparations for slavery because Jake is starting to see that white people are moving, so-called white people are moving. So like, well, I might as well ask for this, That's that's the Yaqua spirit in him. He floated 14 trillion in wealth distribution to create growth, but it's just blackmail. Now, how is that blackmail? And I noticed using the word blackmail is something called derogatory, but y'all call us black, you know, because he's the devil, Following the death of George Floyd in the context of mass rioting on Monday, BET co-founder Robert L. Johnson, the first black American billionaire, made the media rounds calling for 14 trillion in reparations for the descendants of African American slaves, or nearly $358,000 for every black American as atonement for slavery. And that's nothing, man. That's what, a house, you know? You have any idea how much, what we had to go through? Meanwhile, in Esau's kingdom, you can sue somebody for just slandering you for that amount of money, you know? You got what you call in the legal system pain and suffering, If somebody brings damages to your business or to you, I mean, there's people who get sued for millions. One person, for pain and suffering. They get in a car accident or something, or they hurt themselves and the other person's found liable. You can sue them for way more than $358,000. Now, Esau is saying, using words like this is absurd amount of money, but really there's no amount of money, and I'll get that in some of the scriptures in a second here. As now is the time to go big, he says, explaining the mind-boggling sum. Well, is it mind-boggling if y'all can print trillions of dollars a week? Really? You have to be kind of stupid to not realize that this money is bullshit. It's fake anyway, But $14 trillion is all of a sudden, it's a mind-boggling sum, and, this man is the devil, It says we need to focus on wealth creation, and to do that, we must bring descendants of slaves into equality with this nation. And the real wealth in this country is based on land. If Esau's not giving enough land, you really don't have any wealth, And you can't have wealth without labor. And that's how Esau got the majority of his wealth, is through the labor of our people, It's wealth, it's land, and it's resources. Those three things combined is how you generate wealth. Now, if you have land and you have resources, you can't realize that wealth until you put labor into it, So when Esau got here, he took the land, and along with that land, there was resources, and then he stole us, from West Africa, from labor. So he didn't pay for a goddamn thing. This man is a devil, Now you did have a lot of homesteaders in the west of the Mississippi, that they did build up all those farms and ranches as Edomites when slavery ended after the 1860s or whatever. But they stole the land, They stole the land from the Native Americans, They signed treaties and backed out of them. And within 75 years of the Declaration of Independence, California was already a state, Now, if you look up the 13 colonies way on the East Coast, 3,000 miles across, 2 billion acres, they had already made their way across, showing you they had no intention of not taking over this whole land. But that's neither here nor there. Let me continue reading. This is pretty lengthy. As Johnson's call for reparations is irresponsible and provocative during a time of widespread riots, muggings, shootings, and property destruction, the likes of which hasn't been seen in the U.S. since 1968. He has been advocating for reparations since before George Floyd's death, but now his call comes across as either pay up or expect more rioting. Well, you so-called white people didn't do anything, You're probably just sitting back laughing, enjoying, watching what's happening, looking at us, dog. Oh, he's not gonna do anything. He's gonna kill. Jake's gonna kill each other before they come for us, and that's true, or at least that was true up until now. The Most High is doing a mighty work. Call Halal Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem Rachach. You know, this thing is about to. This thing's about to explode. It says Johnson's demand not only represents a morally bankrupt extortion attempt, it is a fiscal impossibility. Now, both of those things, what he said was demonic as hell. How is it morally bankrupt to get paid back for the things that you know that happened? You know we're in the lower state. Now Esau's philosophy is if I built the house on the land that I stole, then it's all good. It's my land. It's okay if I steal the land as long as I build the house on top of that land. Then it's all good. Then it doesn't matter. It was years ago, and the people we stole the land from should just get over it. And then the second piece is it's a fiscal impossibility. Well, how the hell is it fiscal impossibility? The government overspends trillions of dollars every year on purpose. They literally budget to run a deficit every year. And they run up that debt, and they expect all these other Americans to pay for it. Now, let me get Psalms 37 real quick. And 21, I believe. Yeah. It says, the wicked borroweth and payeth not again, but the righteous showeth mercy and giveth. So he's borrowing money at the expense of other people when he does that. When he runs a deficit in the U.S. government, when you pull up the U.S. debt clock and see it's $25 trillion now, he's not expecting to pay that back. He's expecting you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans to pay that back, the bulk of it, at least the lion's share of it, and even a big portion of his people as well, because he really doesn't give a damn about his own people either. He borrows money and no intention of paying it back. But all of a sudden, to give out reparations, it's impossible, on top of the fact that they have the ability to print trillions and trillions of dollars. They can just make it happen. They can just print it. They're literally putting sanctions on, a very large percentage of the world population in Iran, in Russia, China, Iraq, Venezuela, all these countries they have sanctions on, extorting them using the U.S. dollar and manipulating the currency by printing money at the rate that they're printing it, because this man's the devil, the straight up devil. Let me get let's see. Oh yeah, he says the demand. He says this would amount to the largest wealth transfer in American history. The demand is dead on arrival. It would tax every living American taxpayer, not only white Anglo-Saxons, but also Hispanics, Palestinians, Arabs, Asians, Jews. Well, you didn't have that same energy when you were printing money like hell, devaluating the currency. Everybody's net worth goes down when you print money like that. Everything you have every dollar you have in savings, the value of it goes down when you print money. You didn't get permission to print money like that. That's basically a tax on all of these people. And really, you shouldn't cause all those other nations to pay for it. You should just pay for it. You're the one who did it. Your people. It says the ancestors of these groups, and most white Americans for that matter, had no part in slavery. Well, you still have to pay for what you did, and their descendants received no benefit from historical slavery either. Now, I have to get Isaiah real quick. I didn't even have that one prepared, but once I read that, it says, Isaiah 14:21, prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers. So the Most High deals with the offspring, the descendants of your children, paying for the things that your father did. So you were on the hook, according to the Most High, according to the scriptures, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the faces of the world with cities, And how can you think you're a so-called Christian believing in this nonsense? or believe in the Bible, I should say. It says the ancestors of these groups, and most white Americans for the matter, had no part in slavery, and their descendants received no benefit from the historical slavery either, further locating the descendants of American slavery and separating them from black Americans, as well as other black whose ancestors were not slaves, represents a genealogical nightmare of enormous proportion. Well, who decided to relegate all of humanity to 5 colors? You know, black, white, red, brown, yellow. You destroyed the genealogies. You took away cultures. We couldn't even have our own goddamn name. And now you want to complain about a genealogical nightmare. Well, you destroyed it. You relegated us to black, so you can call yourself white, being associated with innocence and purity and cleanliness, when you're the dirtiest scum, the basest of men on the planet Earth, and the Most High is going to destroy you. Let me, yeah, I'm gonna just get some more precepts here, because really what we're talking about is theft. And I pulled up the word steal, and lots of scriptures come up, but the first one is going back to the law. Is Exodus 21:16. It says, "He that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be not found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death." So this monetary reparation that you're complaining about, you're gonna wish you can pay it back in dollars once you see what the real payment is. Once you see the Most High's payment plan is hardcore slavery, and to do away with you, you're gonna beg to pay for more than $14 trillion, because this is according to the law, what the Most High says. Now you stole us and sold us, many times over, and paid nothing for it, basically. You have a lot to pay for. This is Zechariah, Salakia 5:3. Then he said unto me, this is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. And this is talking about the chariots that are going to show up in a major way, in a much higher frequency, which is going to be a major sign of the end and the judgment of this place. It says, for everyone that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side according to it, and everyone that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side according to it. It says, I will bring forth, saith the Lord of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief. That's you, because everything over here is stolen. You didn't pay for a goddamn thing, but you're puffing up at us. You're beating on your chest, trying your best to find some type of moral high ground when you're the goddamn devil. And into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name. And that's what you did with the so-called Christianity. You proclaim yourself to be a Christian, to be God-fearing. And the entire basis of this place of America, how it's founded, to how it expanded its power, is all rooted in wickedness and bloodshed. And the Most High requires blood. He requires that which is past. And shall consume it with timber thereof and stones thereof. So what is the end result of this? And we all know the scripture, most likely, brothers in the faith. It's Revelation 13:10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. So that's the real reparation. Damn $14 trillion. Although Esau's gonna wish he can pay that back in money. He's gonna wish he can just pay it back in labor, but he's gonna have to suffer in that labor, and he's gonna be done away with entirely, in his entirety. Salakia. It says, he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints, and that's us. We're the saints, baby. So all of this madness that he's talking about, about how this fiscal impossibility, and this is extortion and blackmail, and hey man, it's kind of laughable to watch the devil squirm like this, because once he sees what the real payment plan of the Most High is. He's gonna faint of fear. So the last precept going into Revelation. This is Ephesians 4. And, 28. It says, "Let him that stole steal no more, but rather let him labor, working with his hands the thing which is good." So the things that you stole, you're gonna have to labor for it, Esau. Don't worry about printing money. You ain't gonna be able to call up the Fed and just print 100 trillion. You're like, Lord, I'll give you 200 trillion. Hey, the Most High is telling you right here, but rather let him labor, working with his hands the thing which is good, that he may have to give to him that needeth. Which by the time the kingdom is set up, we're not going to need it, because we're going to be ruling over everything, but you're going to have to pay it back regardless. So I just wanted to get that call, Halal, Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim, B'chach Kodash. Hopefully you brothers were edified. Shalom.